Зараз я перевірю. Є. Добре. Все. Тому hello and welcome to today's episode of the Blockquote show. My name is Andrei Degalor, and Blockquote is an interview show where we live stream interviews with Ukrainian founders, and at the same time we are raising money, raising funds to support Ukraine in its struggle at the time when it needs it the most. So if you have a possibility, if you have a capability of donating to support Ukraine's war effort, please do so. You can always scan the QR code in the bottom left corner of your screen as you're watching this stream. You can also do this at any time later if you are watching this video on YouTube or elsewhere. Also, big thanks to our syndication partner, Silicon Canals. You can also see this video on their website. Today, I am joined by a very special guest, Alex Serdiuk, the CEO and co-founder of Respeecher, a voice cloning startup from Ukraine. Hello, Alex. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Andrei. Great to be here.
So, Alex, before we talk about Respeecher, about the company, I would love to first talk about yourself. So, can you talk a bit more about who you are and what you did before founding the company?
Yeah, I'm one of the founders at Respeecher. There are three of us, and I am in charge of business development. And before the company, I've been doing business development in few IT companies, as well as doing some own pet projects for quite a while.
Mm-hmm. And did you have any sort of background in audio, sound, film industry, AI?
Not at all, but I'm so glad to have my partners have this background. So Dmitro, the co-founder and CTO, he's also a musician and obviously has a very good ear. And Grant has been exploring accent conversion as an idea for quite a while. So yeah, it turned out that I might have the less sensitive ears in Respeecher.
Well, I mean, I guess most of the audience for whom you're working, they also have like normal ears. So probably it's nice to have someone with normal ears as well who can listen to things that are created by the company. So can you
I
then
mean,
talk?
look, our stuff needs to go through very picky sound engineers, and they have
That's true.
very high bar of acceptance in terms of quality of the sound they hear.
No. This is also true. So, okay, and can you then talk about the company? What was the initial idea when you founded it, and has it changed in any way, shape, or form until today?
Yeah, the initial idea when we just started, and sometime before that, was to create a synthetic speech that would be on that level of quality that would go through above mentioned picky sound engineers and Hollywood studios and would be able to land on big screen. And that was that has not been achieved yet back then,
Mm-hmm.
because most of the synthetic speech we used to hear has been text to speech, had some issues with roboticness as well as with performance and ability to perform. So we were focused on make the audio on that level of quality and that level of controllability of emotions that is required by studios, by film studios, TV studios, no matter what it takes. And
Mm-hmm.
then uh, after we got this level of quality, basic level, and proved that in few projects, we started to optimize our technology in several directions, including
Mm-hmm.
usability and scalability of the technology.
Right, right. Okay, yeah, no, I totally get it. And so, what's the company like right now? How big is it? How much funding have you raised? And what are the, let's say, key metrics that you are measuring yourselves with?
Yeah, so we are 37 right now. We grew quite a bit over the last year and a half. In terms of funding, we attracted a bit more than 3 mils in
Mm-hmm.
external investments. Uh, in terms of growth, we show quite significant growth on revenue over the last couple of years. Uh, we've been mostly focused in the beginning of Respeecher to get credibility in the market to be able to deliver very high profile projects. And now we uh, are, are focused on keep delivering that, but
Mm-hmm.
also growing us as a company, as a business. And we have several business directions right now.
Okay, so delivering those projects. Can you talk a bit more about some of the biggest projects that you have delivered so far? Whatever projects you are actually able to talk about, knowing that you have a lot of NDAs signed.
Yeah, so back in 2019, we made a very cool project we won an Emmy Award for. That was in event of moon disaster. We done
Mm-hmm.
that with MIT Center of Advanced Virtuality. Um, and this is a very cool project because we showed a piece of alternative history. We basically made Richard Nixon say the speech that was written for him in case if moon landing goes wrong. It was like not just a short film, but also an exhibition. And you have very cool experience when you be interacting to this kind of alternative reality, alternative
Yeah.
history. Also, we did a few projects with Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was Mandalorian, where we made this voice of young Luke Skywalker in the Mandalorian season 2 finale. Very cool project. A lot of work, a lot of dedication, very good result. Then we also worked on that voice for the Book of Boba Fett. We've been credited in Obi-Wan Kenobi that just uh, was just released on Disney Plus,
Mm-hmm.
and we were credited in episodes 3, 4, 5, and 6. We did a very good and big project with NFL digital domain 72 and Sunny in 2021 that was used for opening the Super Bowl back then.
Wow.
So we worked on Vince Lombardi. Vince Lombardi made this speech, digital Vince Lombardi, obviously, where he um, said some encouraging words to nation
Mm-hmm.
and actually to worldwide audience about all the challenges the society had to go through back then. And the biggest challenges back then was COVID, right? Uh, Also, we did very cool project in Puerto Rico previous year where we enabled voiceover of the whole basketball game
Mm-hmm.
to be voiceovered in the voice of particular commentator who
Wow.
was very famous, like voice of basketball in Puerto Rico. Just recently, we made a project with Mondelez Agivli Rephrase in India. That was a very big marketing campaign when a local star, a famous star in Bollywood, was scaled to the extent that this voice and also face, the digital star, was used in a lot of advertisements for small local shops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, also we just released some healthcare stuff, and we have first collaboration on that direction. Quite exciting.
Right. Yeah, I have this in my list as well, so we're gonna discuss it in more detail later on. But first, just wanted to sort of lay some groundwork on the actual technology. So the way it works, as far as I understand it, is you have this model that you train on the voice that you want to clone. So you just need some amount of a recording of that voice, and then it can be put laid on top of whatever other words said by somebody else, like a voice actor or whoever else, really. So how much of the recording of this voice do you need in order to be able to clone it?
Yeah, it really depends. So we feel very comfortable if we have 40, 30 minutes of speech, but also it depends on emotional range and stuff. And in plenty of projects we have delivered, we had less data, way less data than our standard requirements. Then yeah, that's speech to speech technology, and that's quite different from text to speech, as input for our system is always another human who is acting, who is doing this performance and delivering the lines. And the task for our technology is to make this performance sound exactly like it would sound if another vocal apparatus would say it. So we train our system on what we call a target voice, someone we impersonate. That could be young Mark Hamill, for example. And then we convert new lines into this particular voice.
Okay, I understand. And you mentioned this basketball match that was voiced with the voice of certain commentator. So do you mean that it was done live with your technology?
Yeah, but then we were not able to deliver live projects like real time. But now we have real time. We have a few real time projects ongoing right now. So we had to do that overnight, and that was quite significant leap for our technology when we finally enabled it to work with long form content without mistakes. Because before that, our tech produced quite a lot of mistakes, and that would be phonetic mispronunciations and stuff. And that could be fine for offline when you just do 10 takes for each line and you pick the one that converted best. But for long form content or for live performance, it's just not tolerable. And back then, we just received from a client recordings of another person voiceover in this game, and we had to quickly run it through our system and deliver them the results. So it actually happened overnight, several hours.
Right, right. So right now you are focused on the film industry. So we're working with movies, with the studios, with the production companies, and also organizations that do dubbing. What does it mean for voice actors? Like, if this technology becomes ubiquitous, if everything is done with this technology, what's left for the voice actors to do?
Actually, everything left for voice actors to do. That's a misconception about synthetic speech, specifically about speech to speech. And we used to hear a lot of pushback from voice actors several years ago when we started to communicate with them. But now, most of the voice actors we speak to, they actually understand that technology is enable for them. Because, look, our technology cannot produce emotions. Our technology cannot perform. And we don't envision future where a technology would be able to do that level of performance as human being can do. Therefore, the work for voice actors still remains. And the thing is that we have these trends where amount of the content that being produced globally, it grows exponentially over the last 7 years. And that means more and more content needs to be voiceover. And voiceover is being done in old school way. So you cast people, you get people to the studio, and now technology itself, it enables detaching a human from a voice they have in particular moment of their life. And that means that voice actor has way more flexibility in terms of being able to speak in the voice that's different from their own voice or in the voice they had in the past. And that means that voice actors will be hired not because of two factors, their ability to perform and their vocal timbre, but just because of their ability to perform. And that means that voiceover work could be done more efficiently, as well as allocation of this work between very high demand voice actors and voice actors who meet lower demand could be more fair, because work doesn't go anywhere. It still needs to be voiceovered if you talk about high quality productions. If you talk about productions that can tolerate text to speech output, some roboticness, it's another issue. But look, for instance, in video games, they used to do a lot of text to speech for NPC characters, and voice actors might be not happy with that, but they cannot just voice over all the NPCs characters using voice actors unless they have something like very flexible voice cloning technology. And now they have more flexible voice cloning technology, and that means additional work for voice actors would come for projects that require high quality voiceover.
Right. Well, I mean, there are still in many countries where it is customary to translate and dub movies. There are already some, iconic, let's say, voice actors, people to whose voices the audience is used to. So in this case, we are getting into an industry where we have voice actors and we have sort of like ghost voice actors who are voice acting for somebody else. I mean, it's just, I think it's going to be a big change for this industry, don't you think so?
Yeah, the disruption for this dubbing and localization industry is coming, and it's obviously coming not just because of the technology, but also just because of the amount of content that's being produced and needs to be dubbed, and the democratization of the content. Now we know that most of the content is not being created in Hollywood; it's being created worldwide, and that means more and more stuff needs to be dubbed and localized. But the thing is, it's not like all the actors would be ghost voice actors, just because given our experience working with dubbing studios and localization studios, there are plenty of cases when a studio needs to keep a voice actor that is known as, say, voice of Tom Hanks in Germany, for example, or a studio needs to be involved in the casting process for voice actors in all the regions they're doing this dubbing and voiceover. So there is a lot of human factor there. There is a lot of decision that's being made based on specifics of particular performers and their voices. But technology would bring way more flexibility there, and that's what's happening right now. And we are quite excited about this because high quality voiceover is something you do not notice, but when it's not high quality voiceover, you always notice it. And we want as much content to be voiceovered in high quality as possible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That is definitely true. So what you've got at the end of the day is this great technology, this amazing artificial intelligence algorithm that can be used for voice cloning. But then, like, if we look at a broader picture, why was the decision made to focus on the film industry? Because there could be so many different things that you do with it.
I mean, it's quite hard question because, I mean, we're a startup, right? So we had some basic understandings of where we could be able to push the technology to, right? And we had some basic understandings and assumptions what market would consume the technology, as well as what would it make for the company that's being created like a startup. And our bet back then was on the highest quality market, like content creators, big studios, film industry, TV industry, video game companies, animation companies, and dubbing and localization. But now we see that market is way wider than just this. But again, it's not like we sat down and decided once. We are going there. We've been testing some hypotheses. We've been gaining some traction, some initial traction. We've been receiving some feedback from potential clients of Respeecher, and we thought that would be the right way to go. And you would never be able to say whether it was right way, whether it was the best way to go, because there are so many options how you can apply technology like ours, and there are so many different markets. You just need to be focused as much as possible on the things you feel you can execute.
Absolutely, and but then when we talk about the possible use cases for technology, some of them are nice and good: healthcare, film industry, game industry. But then I could quite easily see a bunch of not very decent or not even very legal cases in which this kind of voice cloning technology could be used for. How do you approach this question? How do you approach the possibility that at some point this tool could be used for very bad purposes, like fakes and all?
Yeah, I mean, this concept is not something special about our technology and not new to the technology market in general. So technology itself is neutral, right? And then it's all about who and how applies the technology and for what projects and intentions. At Respeecher, from the very beginning, we built very strong ethics code of conduct, how we take projects, what is our decision making there. And the keystone for that ethics code would be having permission from an owner of the voice we are training our system on and then doing conversion to. And if permission is in place, that means that we are not violating rights of a particular person. But also we do spend quite a lot of time on mitigating the risk of technology like ours be used for malicious purposes. And one of the most important actions we are performing in that direction would be educating the general society about existence of these technologies. So we are used to be scared about something we don't understand in full. And we used to be scared about Photoshop. So when it just appeared, people thought that Photoshop would be used for porn images and all the images on the internet would be manipulated, and it turned out
Yes.
it's not true. And now any one of us know how the image could be manipulated. So the same level of understanding how technology works and how it could be used for brings way more protection from the misuse of the technology than anything else. Also, Respeecher works on what we call digital watermark, audio watermark for the content we are producing. It's quite complex project, so it's still in works. We are launching quite significant activity in detection space for synthesized speech right now. And with the projects Respeecher has been doing, we are showing all the great aspects of how technology could be applied in different industries. That's our take on it. We are not taking any controversial projects. We decline a lot of projects. You would be surprised how many projects we had to decline, even in cases if they have permission, just because we don't see that they use and show the technology in the proper way. Because at the end of the day, we might be even in charge of further technology development in general in the world.
Yeah. I mean, this answer makes a lot of sense. But what I'm thinking is, I'm not really concerned that Respeecher per se would be involved in malicious activity and would take one of those projects in which they would create a deep fake of a president of a country saying something he or she didn't say. No, what I'm saying is that if this technology already exists,
I'm so sorry, Andrew. It seems I can't hear
Oh,
you
you can't
anymore.
hear
And
me.
now I can hear you.
Okay, now you can. Brilliant.
Sorry.
So what
I
I was,
guess the
yeah.
last 30 seconds I just dropped off.
Okay, no worries. So, I think it didn't matter for the live stream viewers because it was recorded, but for you, I will just repeat the question. So the thing is, it makes a lot of sense, of course, that you teach people about the existence of this kind of technology, and one way or the other I am sure that this technology will be found in the hands of bad and malicious actors. So with videos and images, it is usually possible to look very closely at them and see that they were tampered or manipulated. Is it always possible with audio created by Respeecher or a similar service?
Yeah, there are actually several takes from the industry on that. So, one of the opinions I support that we are way more sensitive to audio than to images, and that means that we are way more protected because when audio is imperfect, we do hear all the tiny artifacts and stuff. Um, so yeah, when you are skeptical about the fact that this particular piece of content might have been manipulated, you can spot a lot of things, even with the best technologies out there. So your bias does work for you as a protection. It's not very much similar to visuals because when we look at the picture that is not perfect, our imagination does work for us. So we can just draw it up. We can make it perfect in our imagination. It doesn't work in that exact way with the sound, and that means that we do spot some unnaturalness in the sound. And I'm not sure that such concept as uncanny valley that exists in video generation does exist in audio because it's either good or bad. You either hear problems or not.
Yeah, no, I understand what you mean, but at the same time, with your projects, I think when the technology of Respeecher was used for cloning some actors' voices, the audience would not always have been able to guess that the voice was cloned and not received in like another way, or like read by an actual actor whose voice is similar to the voice that was supposed to be sounding in the movie.
Yeah, that's correct. Our technology is just good. So people were not able to spot it in many cases unless they have a particular bias towards the technology. And also in many cases, general audience were saying that this actor that has been DH in the movie actually voiceovered everything themselves, or they just use impersonator. We like this because that's a proof that we do our job well. Because for audio people, they're always behind the scenes. Uh, Again, you either don't notice anything wrong with the sound, and that makes people feel that the work has been done perfectly, people like ours, or you notice some aspects, and if those are legit, that means that work was not delivered in the highest possible quality.
Yeah, but then it means that what you just said is not always true, meaning that it's not always possible to notice that something is fishy if there is like a deep fake that's very, very, very well done.
Yeah, that's correct. So we are quite close to the stages when very high quality synthetic media, I don't like the word deepfake because it always has negative connotation, could be developed. And that actually means that we should pay more attention to protection from that. But we also need to mention that it's very costly, it's very hard to create a very convincing and high quality synthetic media, both from visual and audio perspective. And we haven't seen project where it has been done in real time yet, both from visual and audio perspective.
Can you give me a ballpark amount? How much would it cost?
It depends on so many factors that I cannot. It can be dozens, thousands of dollars. It can be hundreds, thousands of dollars. So it can strike from 5 figures to 7 figures numbers.
And do you know if there is actually a work being done towards, I understand that you are doing it, but also like, are there any other organizations working on the ways of unmasking this kind of tampering, working on creating ways to always be able to see that a media is synthetic and not authentic?
There are a lot of initiatives that work in that direction, and we are proud to be part of some of those initiatives. There is a lot of attention that's being paid to synthetic media right now, how to treat it right, how to be able to detect it. And the challenge here that we need to adapt, we need to consume this new technology that is new to general audience way faster than other technologies that went through the same adoption curve, right? So Photoshop had many years to be adopted. Printing press that has similar concept to what we are talking about has been adopted over many years. But for the speed of development of the current technologies, we need to act faster, and we need to build those frameworks and build our ability to detect, to notify, to bring awareness faster is crucial and extremely important. That's why we spend a lot of time and actually money in the end of the day for pushing that towards.
Thanks. And speaking of the different initiatives and all, can you talk a bit about your competition? So what is this market like right now? Because for me, it's sort of like a parallel reality. I've never heard of too many companies working on this kind of thing. But the more I think about it, the more like there should be more. There should be somebody else doing it. There must be some competition going on. What is it like? What's the inside look?
Yeah, I mean, like in any market, there is a competition, right? There are tons of text-to-speech companies we don't compete directly to because we believe that text-to-speech has some holistic limitations in terms of audio. It's theoretically can produce, however you would improve the text-to-speech. So that means that having an AI that needs to come up with emotions is a limitation. Even if you can control those emotions, you wouldn't be able to have like a huge panel with controls on all the things we can just naturally do with our vocal apparatus we were born with. And another limitation of text to speech is language models. But there are plenty of text to speech companies around there, and the technology is very, very much adopted by many different markets. In terms of speech to speech, there are several companies that work in that direction. I can't say that we've seen speech to speech delivered by any other company than Respeecher in such high profile movies like we've been doing starting from 2019.
Right. I think Adobe even was involved in some projects, but that was more text to speech, right?
Actually, Adobe had their Voco project that was a pure voice conversion project, and they've been developing that way before Respeecher started. So industry has been doing many approaches to voice conversion for several decades. So it's not a new problem. It's not a new concept we developed. We just made it somewhat differently, and we executed on a particular aspect of the technology in the particular direction for the particular market.
Right. And is it an easy sale when you talk to the film studios, for example?
Usually it's not because of few factors. The decision-making process does take time. The planning process does take time. The entrance barriers, they also exist with our technology. So we need some time to develop the model. We need some amounts of data that needs to be provided to Respeecher. So it's like a classical B2B approach. So we need to have a lot of communication. It becomes a bit easier because Respeecher does have some well-deserved credibility in the market. We have our portfolio of projects. But in many pieces, we also have to listen to data before we commit to it, because we take only those projects we can deliver. We don't have undelivered projects we took money from clients for, that where we cannot actually make it. So we need to listen to data, we need to provide our feedback, we need to be very clear about all the limitations we might face in the process of delivery of the project. And another important aspect is creative aspect, because we work with creatives, and it's not just making a voice A sound like a voice B. It's also playing around with the technology itself, with the different setups of our models to meet some particular creative expectations. So it's complex. In terms of products that are being based on our technology and we invest in building, it's it's becoming easier. So, for instance, some time ago we launched a voice marketplace. That's a piece of technology. That's the same technology that's being used in Hollywood movies, that now accessible for small creators. That means that anyone who is developing their video game or animation in their basement, they can voice over their piece, having 80 voices in their piece that would be voiced by themselves or just one voice actor they would hire. And for doing that, they don't need to communicate to us. They just need to go on our website, check the voice marketplace, sign up for trial, try it, and if they like it, they use it.
So yeah, this sounds like a much more scalable model than this sort of tailor-made kind of work that you are doing with the film studios. So is this something you want to focus on in the future, the marketplace model?
We pay a lot of attention to the voice marketplace model, though our white glove services, these tailored projects, still remain very high on our agenda, because they let us learn from our clients. They let us understand where we need to push our technology to. They let us consume some of the knowledge from the best sound engineers out there. And as well as there are some projects that are tailor made, where we introduce a particular voice for a client or many voices for a client, and they need to use it recurrently. So it's a bit different type of business than just one-off piece when we done a movie and we are done. We need to deliver, we need to keep it up and running, we need to adjust it and apply all the updates we have in the technology. I lost the sound again, sorry.
I'm terribly sorry. Yeah, I think everybody did. So a small intermission for everybody joining us right now. This is Blockquote. We are interviewing today Alex Serdiuk, the CEO and co-founder of Respeecher. This stream has an aim of raising funding to support Ukraine at the time of the war. So if you are able to donate for this cause, please do it by scanning the QR code in the bottom left corner of your screen. You will get to the donation page of the Comeback Alive Foundation, and by donating money there, you will help the Ukrainian war effort. Thank you so much for this. Now, Alex, I wanted to go on and to speak about your work in the present day at the wartime in Ukraine. So, February 24th, where the full-scale invasion started, where were you on that day?
I was in Kiev, so I woke up around 5, hearing some remote explosions.
Did you know right away what was happening?
I quickly checked the news, and I saw those news that Russia started a full-blown invasion from several directions, from all the directions they could have started on my country. So yeah, I knew that in a minute after I woke up.
Did you make any preliminary plans, both for yourself personally and for the company?
Yes, we had those. So we had contingency plans in the company, and we actually suggested our team members to relocate to the western regions of Ukraine in advance, and big part of our team has been in west part of Ukraine before the full-blown invasion started. Other people had also their own contingency plans, like myself. So we had our bags packed, and I have a small daughter, and I just quickly dropped by office to take some documents, called Dmitro, the co-founder, to align on the plans. But we knew what we are going to do and how we are going to keep Respeecher active and operational.
Right. And some of the work, as I read in some of your previous interviews, there was certain work that was literally done from a bomb shelter.
Correct. Yeah, and it continues. I mean, they still keep shelling us. They still sending missiles to our cities. So people need to spend some time in bomb shelters, and they work from there. But on 24th of February, one of the biggest projects of this year, some work for this project has been delivered to a client by one of our sound engineers. He actually from Berdyansk, and we are glad that we were able to persuade him to relocate sometime before the full-blown invasion started.
Right. And is this project out yet?
It is.
Right. Can you tell what it is?
I don't think so.
Okay, your work has a lot of NDAs. I see. So, but right now, is your team safe? And what's the impact on the company like?
Look, this question, are you safe? Is your team safe? It's not very applicable to Ukrainians who are in Ukraine right now, right? So no one is safe. And we see what happened on Sunday in Kyiv. We see what happened yesterday in Kremenchuk. It's awful, and it's the situation when no one is safe. But in general, the team is fine. We all have several jobs right now, not just Respeecher. So starting from February 24th, most of Ukrainians had some added jobs, and those would be an additional like full-time projects that would be helping our relatives, helping people we know and we don't know in their life situations. And the third job would be helping to our country to whatever extent we can. And that's what we all have been doing for more than 4 months. But also, you always ask yourself a question where you would be most efficient, most helpful. And I assume most of our team members have asked this question themselves. And Respeecher is something that would be an answer, because we develop a world-class technology, state-of-the-art technology from here. We deliver some of the biggest projects, some of the biggest TV series of this year right now from Ukraine, efficiently delivering it. We are bringing more attention to Ukraine with some of the projects and initiatives we have, like our Speak Ukrainian campaign. And we are contributing to the Ukrainian economy, because for work, we just need our laptops, we need internet, we need to be in place where we can work, and that's it. And we maintain that. And for many of us, being focused on work does help to keep being efficient, because you're not doing news doom reading, you're doing something particular, something that contributes. So that's been quite important factor. And I would say that what I observe, that people now work even harder than they used to work, because we all understand how important it is, and how we are in charge of something that's behind us, even if we are not in front lines.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I saw this project, Speak Ukrainian initiative, on your website. So if I look at your website right now, you are writing first of all that the company stays in Ukraine, keeps on working, is fully operational. We believe in justice and the armed forces of Ukraine. Ukraine will resist. This is the first message on the website, and the second is that Respeecher calls famous people to speak Ukrainian using our technology. Please check the link below for more detail. So, can you talk to me more about this initiative? What is it about, and what do you want to achieve with it?
Yeah, that's something we launched right after the full-blown invasion started, and it's also associated with the progress we have made on the technology over the last year or so. So we always wanted to make our technology work in cross-lingual mode. That means that if you and we don't speak Spanish, for example, but we can record our data set in Ukrainian, and then a Spanish speaker would be able to speak in our voice in perfect Spanish. So that's cross-lingual capabilities of the technology that we pushed to the limits where it can sound really good. So one of the projects, for example, that has been delivered recently was a singer, Ella Black, singing in 5 different languages, and it's seamless. And having this technology under our belt, we wanted to apply it for famous people that wants to deliver their message to Ukrainians in Ukrainian language. And that's also quite important because Ukrainian language has been a target for Russian filthy attacks, not for even decades, for centuries. They wanted to kill our language. They wanted to kill our nation identity based on language for quite a while. So it's important. And in this project, we basically call celebrities to do a very simple thing, to record a short video where they speak, where they introduce themselves, then speak to Ukrainians and saying those words of support, encouragement, whatever they want to say to Ukrainians, and then close that with inviting their global audience to help Ukraine, to donate to Ukraine. And the part that is being directed to Ukrainians is being translated by us, voiceovered by Ukrainian actor, and converted into the voice of the celebrity, so it sounds exactly like their voice. We have published a couple of those projects. We actually do not publish them ourselves. We send them to a celebrity that is part of the project, and if they like it, they publish it on their social media, and then we support it. And we have a few more quite big celebrities in the works right now. It feels quite important because it directs attention, and attention on Ukraine is something we should maintain, because now is the period where world could be tired of war, could be tired of news, could take Ukraine off their agenda, and we cannot just let it happen. We should be talking about Ukraine all the time.
Yes, no, absolutely. I can totally agree with this. And this project also has one of its aims as keep talking about Ukraine and keep talking about all its aspects, including the tech ecosystem. And you are definitely part of this tech ecosystem in Ukraine. So, are you in touch with other founders? Are you in touch with other entrepreneurs? What do you see going on in the wider ecosystem in the country?
I mean, our community, our tech community, startup community showed resilience, showed their ability to work, showed their ability to perform. Entrepreneurs are all active. Companies are even growing and not just sustaining. All are contributing. I mean, that's a part of the whole picture we are seeing in Ukraine right now, when 44 mils nation just united as one. It standed as one. And tech community is just a small part of this nation that seem to be performing well. And let's see what's happening on tech front. Let's see how many projects have been implemented on country level, what has been done by Ministry of International Transformation in that regard, how they managed to unite a worldwide community of technology entrepreneurs, IT companies all around Ukraine. So that's extraordinary. I mean, at some point when we win this war, we would look back and we would just be extremely amused how that could have even happened in such a short period of time. We show to the world what the real resilience and union is right now.
Absolutely. Alex, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. Thanks a lot for all your work, and good luck. Good luck with everything you're doing with Respeecher, and I hope to see you in person after the victory.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Andrei.
Thanks everyone watching our show today. Once again, this is a Blockquote in which we are raising funds to help Ukraine, to support Ukraine at the time of war. If you want to show your support, you can donate at any time during this stream, but also later on. If you are watching this later, these links will never expire, so you can scan the QR code in the bottom left corner of your screen and donate for the Comeback Alive Foundation that helps the Ukrainian military. Thank you so much for watching today's show, and talk to you next time. Bye bye.